Thank you for being here. Good morning. Before we start, I just want to give a background. 60 years after the Brown versus Board of Education decision, there continues to be an achievement gap. More specifically, according to the recent statistics, children and adolescents of color have the lowest scores in math and science. And by folks of color, we're talking about African Americans, Native Americans, and Latinos. Considering the intersectionality of race, class, and gender, this presents another concern. One of the concerns is that we know that race and ethnicity matters. It matters, that should be no surprise. And that regardless of SES, socioeconomic status, when we talk about African Americans, Native Americans, and Latinas, regardless of SES, there is still an underperformance in STEM sciences. And the third is the important role of gender. And what we know to date is that the focus tends to be on boys of color, rightfully so. However, this leaves girls of color as often an invisible population. And so recently, according to the National Women's Law Center, they released a dynamic report called Unlocking the Opportunity for African American Girls, and it highlights the importance of social emotional development and academic outcomes. And one of my main areas of interest is mathematics achievement, because that is the gateway when we talk about STEM sciences. And there are other researchers over the past decade who have began to take notice in the lives of African American girls. And when we look at African American girls across racially and ethnically minority groups, they are the lowest performance, oftentimes going back and forth between them and Native American girls. And so this led to my work, GMATH, a culturally responsive curriculum. And so that is my social innovation, to develop a mathematics curriculum that is culturally responsive for girls across various racial and ethnic backgrounds. And so some of the tenets of the curriculum surrounds documenting the lived experiences of these girls as mathematics learners, their awareness of the broader context, so this gets at socialization and exposure. And also the last is building and enhancing skills in preparation for high school mathematics. And so it was pretty simple. What we wanted to do was implement this dynamic curriculum and to see how it increased math beliefs and performance from pre and post tests. And we wanted to understand Black girls' lived experiences. So this often involved these kind of intensive qualitative interviews about their experience within a classroom context. And so in year one, we collected data from the VIC program here. It's a desegregation program. And we were interested in girls' experiences according to their race, class, and gendered experiences. And so various themes came up, centered around racial pride, racial microaggressions experienced in their math classroom, kind of this gender preferential treatment, teacher support, and this whole idea of the city versus county, which if you're from St. Louis, you understand what that means. And so in year two, we took some of those findings and we wanted to develop this curriculum that kind of supplemented what they were missing in the classroom. And so what we found over 8 weeks, we saw an increase in algebraic knowledge. However, in year two, these girls still mentioned that the math did not align with their lived experiences. And so they couldn't understand the connect and why it was important. And so now we have year three. We significantly revised it with inclusion of material that focused on exposure. And this is participation from physics, engineering, taking them to the School of Medicine, socialization around the importance of being a girl of color and why math is important, and just exposure to role models and belongingness. And what we saw was an increase in algebraic knowledge, increase in the importance of mathematics, increase in the enjoyment of mathematics. And so our next goal in this process is to include other racial and ethnically minority girls, particularly those who are underperforming. And we are very, very excited about this work. Thank you.
Thank you.